Hi, it's Ghost and welcome back, and today for your viewing pleasure I have you another Codex unlock, and it is the turn of the M97. Now this probably should be my first Elite Codex unlock in Battlefield 1 purely for the fact that it's quite synonymous with my channel. The M97 Shotgun itself, I don't think I've ever used this previous game, but shotguns in general, I was favourable towards them in previous titles that I have played, and to be fair I do really enjoy using them on Battlefield 1. Although this currently is not my most used shotgun, it is by far my favourite. Unfortunately my most used shotgun is rather ashamedly to say the Model 10A Hunter shotgun, which is only because when the game first released it was completely broken and very overpowered, and pretty much everyone was using it constantly, and the only real way you could beat people was to use it yourself. So subsequently I stuck it on and abused the shit out of it until it was nerfed, fortunately by DICE, and in the same patch that nerfed the gun they also buffed this weapon, increasing its pellet count slightly, which increased its damage range and also its one-hit capabilities, and subsequently this has become my shotgun of choice in Battlefield 1. Now one of the biggest advantages this shotgun has over the other pump-action variants is its rate of fire. At nearly 140 rounds per minute, it is double that of any of its closest competitors, allowing you to get a follow-up shot very quickly if you are unlucky enough to get a hit marker, or if you come across multiple enemies you have a better chance of taking them all out without them getting shots and killing you in return. To balance out its slightly higher rate of fire, it does have less shells available to you on each reload, only 5 each time instead of the 6 that you get with the other pump action variants. This isn't really a massive issue, and as long as you keep the weapon topped up, which is not hard to do, it really doesn't affect you very much, and once you've got used to it, it becomes second nature to you and you're just constantly, as you're running along, chucking another shell in as you go. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on which way you look at it, there isn't an extended variant of this gun. I do think if there was an extended variant it might be a little bit too strong, which is probably why it's not in the game. However, there are 3 variants that are available to you. There is a blackboard version, which reduces the recoil from each of the shots that you fire, which isn't really a big issue. I can't ever see saying on a shotgun, you know what, the recoil really is affecting me here, and as a negative to reducing the recoil, you reduce its range as well, which I just can't see the positives for using that variant at all, and subsequently I've barely used it at all. I think I've got like 20 kills with that one variant. Next up is the Hunter variant, which reduces the hipfire spread, allowing you to be more effective at longer ranges, although I don't really feel that the extra couple meters that this gives you on a one-hit kill is ever that noticeable, and I much prefer using the sweeper variant, and is the one that I would personally gravitate towards. Now although technically it actually increases the hipfire spread of this weapon, I feel this actually makes this weapon much more consistent at getting one-hit kills at closer ranges, which is where you're going to be using a shotgun. You're not really looking to snipe people with it. It's purely designed for close quarters, and as this weapon has a higher rate of fire, complementing that with a more consistent one-hit kill at close range really is the way forward. And due to this reason, the sweeper variant is the one that I pick out of all of the effects on this weapon. I feel it's the most effective and the one that you're going to do the best with. Upon getting 500 kills with this weapon, you unlock your Elite Codex. And with your Elite Codex, you get your lovely influx of 25,000 experience points, which expedites your ranking up procedure tenfold. You also get the Elite Codex itself, and in which we learned that in 1918 the US government ordered nearly 20,000 of these shotguns, and thousands more were meant to be converted from commercial use to be employed in the First World War. Several other shotgun models were deployed alongside it on the front in smaller numbers, but the M97 was the most prevalent and became synonymous with the Americans' use of shotguns during the war. There are many legendary stories about the combat effectiveness of this weapon. One post-war article describes a US officer and a German mass assault on his trench. The Americans let the Germans get close, then about 200 shotgun-equipped soldiers opened up. The front ranks of the assault simply piled on top one awful heap of buckshot-drilled men. In Lawrence Stalling's book, The Doughboys, there is a mention of a sergeant from Chicago who was making his assault on a German concrete pillbox under heavy fire. The sergeant made it inside the back entrance of the pillbox. 2 buckshot blasts later, 23 performers left on their feet surrendered. Another legend is that of Sergeant Fred Lloyd, who on the 27th of September 1918, equipped with his M97 trench gun, advanced alone onto a German-held village. He began methodically clearing the village, firing and pumping the shotgun on the move. After routing 30 German soldiers, Fred Lloyd finally collapsed with exhaustion. And there are many, many more stories showing how effective this weapon was during the First World War, and this really began to aggravate the Germans. And in July of 1918, German newspapers started reporting on shotgun barbarism, and the Cologne Gazette expected that tomahawks and scalping knives would soon appear on the front as well. At the same time, many American civilians reacted to these outcries, pointing out that the Germans themselves were being barbaric, using poisoning gas and bludgeoning weapons. During the battles of 1918, the Germans captured several American soldiers equipped with the M97 shotguns. And finally, on the 19th of September in 1918, the German government filed a formal diplomatic protest, complaining that the Americans' use of shotguns was against the Hague Convention. Germany threatened that any US prisoner of war found to have in his possession such guns or ammunitions belonging, therefore too forfeits his life. On the 26th of September, the USA responded to the complaint, arguing that shotgun blasts can be compared to shrapnel or fragmentation grenades, and therefore is no more cruel than other weapons deemed legal. The US government also responded that if Germany was to carry out the threats, there would be reprisals. The First World War ended 6 weeks later, and there are no records of Germany ever executing any prisoners of war found with shotguns. As we can see from this weapon was incredibly effective in the First World War and very prevalent due to its pure numbers as well. As the First World War was very focused around the trenches, it makes sense that a weapon that was designed to kill people in close quarters was one that excelled, even to the point that the Germans actually had to try and put sanctions in place to try and stop the Americans using it due to its effectiveness. And I think this translates really well into Battlefield 1 itself. This weapon excels at killing people at close range and probably one of the most effective shotguns to use in Battlefield 1. And I'm sure, like the Germans, there are many people who play Battlefield 1 who would be quite happy to see the M97 and any of the other shotguns not being used in this game. However, this weapon only excels at close quarters, and if you're trying to engage people for the majority of this game, it's quite challenging. There are a few maps that cater well for it. Amiens and Argonne Forest are two that I excel at. The two new maps, Fort Vaux and Verdun Heights, this gun is good on, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the new nighttime trench map is going to be like, because I feel that that could really excel for trench warfare, which is something that we really would like to see a bit more in Battlefield 1, because that was so prevalent as a thing that happened in the First World War. Anyway guys, this video has come to a close. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you next time. Goodbye for now. Bye.